Good morning, and welcome once again to Tuesday morning at the Royal View Palladium. Today we have a very special. We have the Wharfview Bell Ringers, or the Wharfview Ringers. And so, without further ado, I would like to hand you over to Sue Evans, their leader, their maestro, their impresario. Please welcome to the stage the one, the only Sue.
Right, we're going to play a few pieces to you, and I'm also going to just tell you a little bit about how bell ringing started, or handbell ringing started. But we're going to begin by playing you a piece. I think you'll know it, Love Me Tender, or Aura Lee to give it its proper title. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, who sang it?
I'll just press it down.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Ready? And. Right, well, handbells were handbells were first used in the 16th and 17th century by tower bell ringers. Can you all hear me at the back? Yeah.
Yeah.
It started in the tower bells, with the tower bells, because they decided it was much warmer if they had some smaller bells and they could play in the inn, the local inn. Tune ringing, which obviously is what we do, that became popular in the 18th century, and it was played for festive occasions, Christmas, Easter, weddings, that sort of thing. Popularity of handbells reached its peak in the middle of the 19th century. There were very big competitions. They were held at Bellevue Gardens. That was between 1855 and 1925. The teams were made up of all men. Ladies, we didn't get a look in.
Oh.
They had very, very big sets of bells. I mean, we've only got a few here on the table. We do have more, whilst you do own more bells. But these teams played with a set of bells of up to 200. So you can imagine they were big teams. So we'll say no more. We'll go on and play another piece for you. Now this one we've got to change bells for Janet. That's right. We're partly playing for you today to see if any of you might be interested in joining us. We used to have, how many do we have when we started? About six or eight. When we first started, but Les and Bet Pye used to play. I don't know if any of you remember Les and Bet.
Yes, I remember Bet and Les.
That's right. Well, they sadly have passed on, and we've dwindled down to just Janet and Ian and me. And it's getting a little tricky to be able to play bigger pieces or fuller pieces. So we're hoping that perhaps somebody will come along and join us. Right, let me just get my bells. Excuse me.
What was it you doing?
Nursery chimes. Okay.
Yeah.
Ready? any of
Yeah.
those?
Had you seen the Muffin Man?
That's
Girls
right.
and boys come out to play.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
Yankee Doodle.
Simple
Simple
Simon.
Simon.
Well done. Right, the bells we play with are actually American bells. They have plastic handles and they're coloured black and white. Like on a piano, you have the white notes. Well, these have the white handles.
No, the braille markings at the back. For
Some of them have braille markings, yes, but they were put on afterwards, weren't they?
Yes.
And the black notes are like the sharps on a piano. What we call the things that we ring with, the clappers, they're round, but they can turn, and it can either make a soft noise, or if I try to turn it, say, can you see hear a softish noise? You then turn it round again, and it makes a slightly harsher noise, and then it's a harder noise. So they're 3 different settings. They're made up exactly the same as church bells, 77% copper and 23% tin. Other bells, there's British bells, they have leather handles, they're firm leather handles. They have clappers, but you can't turn them. They're just literally forwards and back. And they have different materials. The very little bells have a nylon in it. The middle-sized bells have leather. And the big bells, and I'm talking about big bells, they weigh up to 10, 12 pounds. They have a round clapper with felt wrapped round them. They're made by Mears and Steinbach of Whitechapel. So you quite often hear of Whitechapel bells, but they're actually made by Mears and Steinbach. So different teams, it's the British bells. If you want new bells, you have to wait almost years for those, whereas American bells, you can just virtually buy off the shelf, which is why these days a lot more of the new teams are having the American bells because they don't want to have to wait for the British ones, which seems a bit of a shame really, but there we go, that's life. So, right, well the next piece we're going to play, I've got to change Janet's bells again. That's it. Okay, that should see. There should be.
Just checking.
This is one of the reasons we've got so many bells. Oh no, hang on a minute. No, you haven't got B. You need B, D and E, don't you? I need the B and the C. Starts the next one. You need to change.
It's all the adrenaline going.
That's what it is. I've got a lot of bells in this one.
You want a chocolate?
Yes, please. Afterwards.
Right, Sky folks. I've got these. We go in.
Right. That's it. When you play the bells,
if they turn over, they will only ring in one way. If I turn it around 90 degrees, nothing happens. And when you're playing off the table, well, I'll tell you, there are two methods of playing. One method is what they call off the table, where people have the bells on the table in front of them, and they pick the bell up and ring it up towards them. Then the other method is called in hand. That's where you hold the bells in your hand and you ring out and away from your body.
Oh, right.
So Janet and Ian are both playing in hand because they are holding their bells up and ringing out. Because I've got so many bells in front of me, I'm ringing off the table and I'm ringing up.
Oh, I see, yeah.
In general, up north, up this way, there are more teams play off the table because they generally have bigger sets of bells. Whether it goes back to all those days when they were at Bellevue, I don't know, but that's what they do. Down south, they play more in hand. I come from down south, and we used to play 4 in hand. So you'd have, one would play out, you'd have the other one in your hand, and it would you'd play a cross. So you go out and across, and across, and you'd have 4 bells, 2 in each hand. Took a bit of practice, but like everything, you get there in the end. I play off normal music. Obviously, Janet and Ian learn the pieces.
Off here, yeah.
But you play it by ear, yes. There are some teams play off a chart, not as you would know normal music. They're just dots on a chart, and they can pick out the notes. But we prefer to play off full score because, well, everybody knows music, so it doesn't matter where you go. People can read music. Doesn't matter whether you speak the same language, you can still read the same music. So our next piece is Ode to Joy.
Right.
This is where Janet's got to have the B and the C. Doesn't matter, we wanted to do a different one. Okay. Right. Well, bell ringing in Britain, they declined in the 1920s, and it became almost extinct until the late 1960s, when its popularity began to increase. in 1966, one of Norbury Church had a team of bell ringers. That's who I play with as well. One of the members thought it would be rather nice if we all had a get-together. So 1966, we all got together, and there were 12 teams, and everybody enjoyed it. And they thought, right, we'll make this an annual event. So in 1967, 19 teams went to Ashton-under-Lyne, and this saw the foundation of the HRGB, or the Handbell Ringers of Great Britain. And from the 12 teams in 1966, when we first met, there are now over 1,000, well, I think it's probably about 1,200 teams now, worldwide. It's very big in United States, in Japan and Australia. The Americans they call themselves the American Handbell Ringers of Great Britain, or something. It's weird how they've named themselves. But we meet regularly, the HRGB members, and it's now countrywide. Although it started up here, we've got it Scotland, Wales, it's all over the country. We have regions and regional get-togethers. And Janet and Ian actually played at a rally in the Northwest a few years ago, didn't you?
Yes.
And everybody was absolutely amazed how well they did. Don't know why, but they did brilliantly, and took part in a whole sighted event, and actually came and played with Norbury as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
For the sight reading.
Played for the Duke of Gloucester as well.
Yes, we played for the Duke of Gloucester when he came here, and I'm not sure what he was opening actually. He came here and had a look.
I think it was the Gardens, wasn't it?
Was it the Gardens?
Yes.
He was here anyway. Royalty, and we've played for royalty, so yes, we've done a fair bit. So, well, that's the end of my talking, but we've got one more piece to play. This is Janet and Ian's favourite piece. If ever I say to them, what would you like to play? It's always my grandfather's clock. So we're going to finish our little bit with my grandfather's clock. Now you need D&D.
Yeah.
on the bells. Would you like one bell each? Would you like to have a go? Would you like me to bring a bell round and have a try? Right.
Yes, yeah. How do you sustain a note to just keep it? Because you've got a lot of notes playing.
You just don't dampen.
don't dampen.
If you're playing in hand, you dampen up on your shoulders. Or obviously on the table, you just put them down.
That's a week.
Got to fit your wrist.
That's where it.
We can show our appreciation once again for our esteemed bell ringers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. Something a little bit different.
Yes, very nice.
Good.